Hi, and welcome to Livy Presents Ghost News Network. Today is our question of the week. James, you got a question for us?
Alright, so our question today is, what are some bad habits or practices that happen during an investigation?
Okay, so bad habits and practices that happen on an investigation is sometimes people tend to treat it too much like a social event.
Yeah.
You end up BSing too much. And while we do find that most of our EVPs we capture are whenever we're talking to each other and not necessarily in a investigative state, they less happen during EVP sessions and more when it's trying to interject or become involved. At least it feels like that to me. There's not enough. I feel like groups aren't investigating enough.
Yeah.
They're not hitting the location hard enough. So I think it becomes too much of a hangout for people. And it just, at that point, you're urban exploring and you're not paranormal investigating. So really focusing on the investigation, really paying attention to your equipment. People get equipment and they tend to put it down or put their hands in their pockets and they don't have it out. You need to be paying attention. You need to be paying attention to your equipment because readings are going to happen like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to wait for you to notice. So if you're not paying attention to your equipment, then you could potentially miss something happening. Oh boy, oh god.
You got a lot of
There's so many. It's just there's a lot of bad practices that can happen. I think the most important thing though is just to keep it short is just pay attention to your equipment and your environment. Try not to turn it into a hangout. I mean, you're hanging out, but you're all there for the same reason. If you're a paranormal investigator, you're there to investigate. So do just that, at least for us. If you're a ghost hunter and you're just going there to ask a couple questions and leave and not actually look at your analysis or do anything with it, then, in my eyes, that's bad practices too. So, because you're not adding anything to the field. You're just going out and using it for yourself. Which is, if that's really what you want to do, that's fine. But we have so many records and notes and everything and files and everything like that just have all of our data on it. And so paying attention to your equipment is very important. That's probably one of the most important things that aren't happening. And I think closing out EVP sessions, there's a lot of bad practices where people will start an EVP session and then just be like, okay, and then not say, okay. Like, our practice of ours is, thank you very much for speaking with us. We're going to move to a different location now. If you'd like to communicate with us further, you can. Or when we're leaving an investigation, whatever's here, you have to stay here. You can't follow us home. Don't come see us, we'll come see you is one of the things I like to say. Because, straight up, this is my house we're in right now, I mean, you come here and you do your investigation, and you guys aren't closing yourselves out right, and you bring something to my house, well, F you, you jerks. So, I mean, honestly, closing out your investigations is proper. I also think provoking is bad practices. I don't really like provoking. It is very, very rare that I have provoked in the field. Very, very rare. And it's not something I prefer to do and not something I really approve of. It really depends on a case-by-case basis, of course, but for the most part, again, you would never go up to somebody in the street and start yelling at them and demanding them to do things. So I wouldn't suggest doing it to something you physically can't see. So, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. One of the other big things is, like, protecting yourself while you're on the field.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds weird, but it really, paranormal investigating could be a very dangerous thing. So a lot of people don't walk into it with that mindset.
Right. Okay.
And you definitely have to know how to protect yourself from something that could try to take over you. And
whether you need to sage, whether you need to say a prayer, whether you need to, whatever it is you need to do, you should always protect yourself the best that you can.
I mean, Michelle's making a whole kit of sage and all that stuff. And I think that's a very big thing that people are not doing. Definitely the BSing around instead of investigating.
Yeah. I mean, look, we all love hanging out with each other.
And I feel not enough people are trying to debunk things in the field.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We'll sit here and we'll say, oh, I just saw a light go that way. And it's like, all right, moving on. Well, let's go find out what that light is. And that's another thing where it's just, we're taking this stuff at face value without trying to go and investigate what is actually causing that, if anything.
Well, we do debunk.
Well,
but in general,
just in general, yeah.
Yeah, people have a personal experience and they just say, oh, well, that's it. But yeah, we always question, why is it like that?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? If we're at this cemetery, we're seeing a shadow go by. Is it a shadow or is it car lights from a distance that are reflecting on the surface of the tombstones that are making it look like a shadow? So these are all questions you have to ask and you have to look at, because especially when you're doing investigations on urban myths and legends, there's so many environmental factors that you need to take in before you're willing to say that something is paranormal.
Yeah.
You know, for example, when we did Sacticos Manor, and we had that crazy night with all the equipment going off, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's episode 5, I believe, of Real Ghost Hunting, Sacticos Manor Investigation. We actually had not planned to investigate that night, or to film an episode that night. It was just a simple overnight we were doing. We do that every month or two. We go out on an all-night investigation. We'll hit like 3 or 4 locations and just go. So that, even though that footage is from our full spectrum HDD camera, it's not from our documentary camera that we film these things on. So it was just, all the equipment was going off. It was bonkers. But what did we do? We went back the next week.
Yep.
We went right back there with the same type of equipment
and
the same location and more. Oh yeah, a ton more. And went to the same spaces, asked the same types of questions to see if we could get the same activity, and nothing happened. I think the REM pod went off maybe once, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But we had K2 meters, natural tri-field meters going off, EMF meters. We had so many different types of equipment just going bonkers, and then we could hear what sounded like a REM pod in the distance. But when you guys investigated the whole area, there was nothing. So it was really weird. It sounded like it was mimicking our REM pod. And it wasn't happening when our REM pod was going off. It was like in between everything. So it was really wild. But yeah, I mean, that's what you do. You go back. You check the location out. You find out if you can get those readings again. And when you don't, it makes you question things.
Yeah.
Another example is Sheep Pasture Park. When we first started investigating that, we started hearing what sounded like static in the middle of the field. And we couldn't figure it out, And we would go back and we'd hear it again. But sometimes we wouldn't hear it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would. Then when we looked at our records, we noticed we were hearing the static more towards this time of year. Well, why is that? Because it's colder. We went into the field, we went out and we did an overnight just at Sheep Pasture Road Park. And me and Mike were listening to it and then going in that direction for hours until we finally came to the end, and we found that across the street from the property that Sheep Pasture Park is, there is some kind of factory, and there's something releasing pressure from a canister. So it's going psh, and it would happen and you could time it. So you knew it was happening every 27 minutes, I think it was. And we were able to figure it out. And this is after over a year of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But we kept going back and going back and going back. So now what was once personal experiences has been debunked and out of our files. So, I mean, that's something that we do, and a lot of people should do that. Spend the time in your sites, man. Figure them out. Learn everything about them. Because at least that way, you'll know. If we went this Thursday to Sheep Pasture Park, you guys would hear that static sound. And if you didn't know about this story, you'd be like, what the hell is that? Because it made us question it for a while. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good.
No? All right. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you haven't yet, give this video a like, share, and subscribe. And you can also follow us by clicking the little notification bell to know all of our content that we uploaded to YouTube. So thank you guys very much for joining us on this latest edition of Ghost News Network. And until next time, take care, guys.